Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. My name is Josh Griffin, and I serve as the Associate Director for the University of Washington Dialogue Initiative, a tri-campus effort across UW Seattle, UW Bothell, UW Tacoma, to equip Huskies with tools and mindsets to engage in skilled, meaningful dialogue across difference. Today's conversation is part of that shared university-wide commitment to helping students strengthen their capacity to listen, think critically, and connect across perspectives. We're also excited to launch Huskies Continue the Conversation, a new series designed to keep that important dialogue going and to give you, our students and broader community, more tools to add to your personal toolbox. I'm thrilled to kick off this series with Professor Colin Marshall from the Department of Philosophy. His work on ethics of persuasion explores how we stay grounded in who we are while still connecting authentically with others, even when we don't see eye to eye. But let's be honest, most of us, myself included, tend to avoid tough conversations. Or when we have them, we often are more focused on what we want to say than on truly understanding the other person's perspective. So what happens when we slow down enough to intentionally listen? What becomes possible when we stop viewing challenging conversations as something to survive and start seeing them as opportunities to learn and connect? That's why we're here today, to explore how compassion and mutual understanding can transform the way we show up in class, in community, and online, and everywhere in between, I should say. With that, I'm honored to welcome Professor Colin Marshall, whose work invites us to communicate more truthfully, ethically, and maybe a little more bravely. Thank you, Colin, for being here.
Totally. It's a pleasure to be here, Josh.
Awesome. To get us started, I'd love to dig into one of the central ideas in your work. Why isn't respect enough? Respect is often seen as the end goal in tough conversations, the thing we hope for, but research suggests it's really just the beginning. So can you explain to us why respect isn't all we should ask for?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing to say is, respect can be great. When you actually show someone respect and take them seriously as another person, and you really try to hear them and understand them and think through what they say, and you offer yourself honestly, like that can be a big deal.
Absolutely.
And like it can make people feel seen and valued. So, respect is a really, really important value. But there's a couple reasons why we shouldn't just think about respect, especially when we're thinking about engaging with people who we disagree with.
Yes.
One reason is that if there's a difference in power, respect can kind of become, or the language of respect can become a tool of sort of stomping someone down.
Gotcha.
So like if you're vulnerable, if you've got a like abusive boss or something who's, sidelining you, messing with your mind, treating you disrespectfully, and they demand respect of you, like something's off.
Yeah.
Something's off there. And it's okay to like bristle at that sense that they demand that you treat them with respect. Doesn't mean you shouldn't move towards a respectful relationship at some point, but in that kind of thing, you being respectful is not the issue.
What would you say might be the issue, or how would you identify the potential issue at hand?
Yeah, and in that case, I think the part of the problem can be things that matter more than respect, like your own well-being.
Yeah,
you're about to get fired for something, and having a respectful conversation, this is your job. Like, I don't know, that's not the most important thing.
That's true.
The other aspect of it is, the other person who's treating you disrespectfully, they might demand respect of you, and yet there's not a real relationship there. Like they see you as an underling. They don't see you as a full person. And so it is about respect, but they're the ones who, like, because they've got the power, they've got to get the ball rolling on respect before they demand it of you.
I like that.
So that's one way respect isn't enough.
Okay.
The other way that respect is sometimes not enough can happen even if you've got two people who are on like the same power level. No one's threatening the other person.
Mm-hmm.
but you can have a respectful conversation and yet still stress someone out. Like you're in their face and you're
Okay.
talking and you're like really intense.
Okay.
And maybe you're listening to them and you're engaging with what they're saying, but you're making them kind of miserable. Like being backed into a corner at a party and someone's just like wants to like keep talking. I gotta
lack social awareness.
Exactly. And that you could call that a failure of respect, but I think sometimes it's more of a failure of like compassion
on the person who I would deem intense. Or,
exactly.
Okay. And so what type of advice do you give to potentially like students in those instances when they're the one where that are receiving that intensity and it is overwhelming? How would you encourage them to respect themselves to be able to kind of speak up in those moments?
Yeah, that's a good question. It always varies. There's no absolute rules, but I think one pretty good move we can make sometimes is just to have kind of a reality check. So for example, if someone's cornered me in a conversation, they're just being too intense.
Yeah.
If I can say something like, this is a great conversation, I'm feeling kind of stressed out right now. Could we circle back to this some other point?
Yeah.
So then I'm expressing my feelings, like I'm communicating that I'm stressed. That also kind of invites them to check in with themselves emotionally. Like maybe they're feeling stressed and nervous and anxious, and that's where this is coming from.
Yeah.
So by making it okay to talk about where I'm at, okay to talk where you're at, and that can help things chill out.
Got you. So if I'm hearing you correctly, a step could be kind of acknowledging this moment in time, what's coming up for you, and then being able to invite the other party to be able to address that moment at a later date where you can kind of figure out the next step so that doesn't occur.
Exactly. Yeah. Because when we get in this framework of like, oh, I respect you and you respect me, sometimes that can mean we start pretending like we're beings who have total rational control of our emotions.
Performative.
Yeah. We have the sense of like, well, I know what I'm about and I'm in control of myself. But like, no, most of the time we're wrestling with anxieties and all these other things that are like really important to who we are.
No, I couldn't agree with you. Couldn't agree more. I think another thing that kind of comes up, and one of the questions that I have for you is, what does real mutual understanding look like when a conversation gets tough? And I think we're kind of speaking to that right now. And then how do we know we've actually reached that mutual understanding, right? So like person's backed into a corner and this person's very intense. Like, what does that look like to have that mutual understanding in that moment during a very real encounter?
Totally. I think part of the answer goes back to something you said in the setup about slowing down, because people are really complicated.
Yeah.
We've got all these thoughts going on. We've got our identities. We've got our values. We've got our emotional states. We've got all our bodily stuff, like needing to go to the bathroom, getting hungry. And so really understanding where another person is at.
Yes.
It's just like there's a lot of stuff you've got to register. And any one of those things could be like a deal breaker.
Definitely.
Registering, is the other person tired? Like, if you don't understand that they're tired, even if you understand their perspective, you haven't fully understood where they're at now.
Yeah.
So often I think it requires slowing down, checking in on different levels, checking in with yourself on different levels to make it, because you don't want to be like, I'm in control of my emotions, but you seem kind of upset.
Projecting. Yeah.
Exactly. That's not going to work.
Yeah, that's projecting. Yeah. I think we've spoken to this too before, is just the idea of, the two concepts of positionality and reflexivity, right? And that's again what I'm hearing in this moment as you speak, is just the deep importance. Maybe that's me projecting, but I think it's deeply important to know your positionality and how you show up in the worlds. And I did say worlds because we inhabit multiple types of worlds in our everyday life. So I think for one, that's extremely important. And then two, the importance of being able to understand reflexivity in these moments, being able to put yourself in the other person's lived experiences, not shoes, but really attempting to understand how they interpret and understand the world.
Yeah.
So then you can identify these moments of commonality that could be known as mutual understanding.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a hard thing to do, and I think one of the things I know I've overlooked in the past is how important just like physical environment can be to that. So universities in some ways are constructed as these really artificial environments.
Yeah.
You go into a class or you go like talk to a professor in their office hours. It's quiet. There's not a lot going on. You have like books and stuff around to remind you this is like a thoughtful place.
Yeah, your background, mine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's this, kind of miraculous thing that we humans have constructed, this space where we can actually, when everything works out, we can actually sit, we can have the space to take things through. Like we've got time blocked off for class. There's like, you don't have to worry about grocery shopping now.
Yeah.
Like you can just focus on this.
Yep.
So that's something that's really, I think one of the things that's most valuable about university and college education is setting up just literal environments where people can have careful exchanges and can reflect on themselves, try to get a sense of the other person's experience.
No, for sure. And I know that's what happens in one of the courses that you teach too. I'm correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things, this is the Philosophy 118 class, which is on ethics and psychology of persuasion. A big part of the class is we organize students into little groups. It's like a person trying to persuade, a person who's open to being persuaded, and then a referee.
Oh, okay.
And they just get a block of time, and the persuader gets to like make their case. Like, here's why I think you should change your mind about something.
Yeah.
And the referee is actually there just to make sure everyone's chill.
Okay.
And everyone in my class, everyone is like chill. Like the referees have never had to step in. But I think it's partly because you've just got someone watching you, like with the expectation that everyone is, respectful and compassionate and like in the right zone.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the kinds of things that happen. Like students aren't always persuaded, but sometimes they are. Like sometimes they change their mind about stuff. And even when they're not, they walk out with a sense of like, oh, I actually understand why people disagree with me now. They're not just stupid.
That's awesome. Just stupid. That's hilarious. No, that's a beautiful, just for one opportunity for students to lean in it and have that opportunity to engage in what some might say challenging conversations before entering another world in which they inhabit outside of the campus and things of that nature. That kind of leads to another question is in that class, maybe in the context or just in general, what does it look like to sit with discomfort instead of shutting down, checking out, or clapping back? Like, how do you become, I guess you might say, your own referee to be able to address these types of things that come up, these moments of discomfort? I know for myself, sometimes, and have a great mentor in Brooklyn who helps me to understand the importance of not always saying something when you are when I'm ready to clap back, right? Being able like, you know what, this isn't my battle. I'm gonna step back and let other people tell on themselves on how they don't interact or speak up. So what kind of advice do you have for our students in these moments of discomfort on how to go forward?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And it also, of course, it depends. So there's some cases where, you should clap back. Like if someone is, like if you're up on stage and someone is denying your humanity, then maybe the self-respecting thing to do, if you're safe doing it, is to be like, no, like, no, that's totally wrong. Like I'm here, I'm real.
Yeah. How do you get to that point to be able to have that fortitude or that ability to say something, right? I know, you and I have some sorts of positions of power, but for potentially students, like in those moments, like what can they do to be able to do that in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's not unreasonable to be worried, especially if, say someone confronts you on campus and you don't know who that person is, you don't know what they're about. Like, by all means there, I say, like, play it safe. If you're not sure if the other person might be like out to, I don't know, like physically harm you or catch you on a video, saying something that they can then like weaponize against you, then like totally play it safe, just walk away.
Absolutely.
But when we can form communities and we know we're in a room with people who care about us, who believe in us, who see our value, then it gets a lot easier to stand up for yourself. But yeah, like doing it individually without a position of power, like that's super hard. So then if that's, when that happens, when there's discomfort, and especially if it's not the kind of thing where you have to push back to show something, I think there's, a sort of metaphor is when you get sort of two minds together and two people don't agree and they kind of clash. Some sparks fly. In a way, sometimes that's kind of like chipping off a piece of a rock and you can actually see what's inside. And so sometimes that's true for yourself. Like I've had conversations where like I thought I was on top of it and then it just went to hell. Like it was really bad. And like I was humiliated, like, and of course my first impulse is to like try to save face right away. Or to like run. But when I've taken the opportunity to like look at like what is the part that like got exposed of me in this? What are like what's this inner structure, these inner colors, these inner like elements of me? Often I can get two things out of it. One is just like some self-knowledge.
Absolutely.
Like, okay, this is a kind of situation that I stress out. I'm not productive. Like in this kind of situation, I should really be careful and avoid these going future. The other big thing, though, and this is something I wish someone had told my like younger self, is that the sort of like the discomfort or the humiliation or the awkwardness you have in those moments, that gives you a basis for connecting to other people for the rest of your life. Because it's so human when you're uncomfortable or you mess something up. Like people can relate to that.
Absolutely.
And so in a way, it ends up being just incredibly valuable if you can hold on to it and face it authentically and own it. That's
beautiful. As you're talking, I kind of think about hiking, and hopefully this analogy makes sense. Please let me know if it doesn't.
No, go for it.
But are you familiar with the enchantments in Eastern Washington?
I've heard of them. I haven't hiked there.
Okay. So there's this part called Asgard Pass. It's about 0.7 miles in 4,000 feet of elevation gain. So it's pretty intense. And so I did it a few summers ago and got to the top. And it's a beautiful view, but I bring that up because I didn't just go and do that hike at that moment in time. I chipped away at all these other past hikes to be able to have all of this knowledge and wherewithal to know that when it gets really hard at these steep inclines and when my legs are yelling that you should stop, it's worth it to keep going, because I've done that in the past. And I've stood on past summits to be able to look out and to see the beauty from the top of these various mountains. And so that's kind of what I hear is just the more we lean into these different conversations and the more challenging they become as you speak, like we chip away at being these moments that we can hold on to, these nuggets of gold potentially to be able to put into our own treasure chest and to tap into for the rest of our lives. And that's something that nobody else can take away from, and we can allow ourselves to learn from and to practice in everyday life. Did that make sense?
Totally.
Okay.
And I think,
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Like, I like that metaphor a lot for, like, what are we doing in like an undergraduate degree or even a graduate degree? Like we construct, we have these artificial environments, these classrooms, these like topics, especially if you go and push yourself and you go into a class on topics that make you feel a little uncomfortable or that you just like know nothing about. In a way, each time you do that, some stuff's going to go well, some stuff's not going to go well. But it's a little like it's a practice hike. and you're practicing hiking in different terrains. You're finding out like, okay, this one, like I fall down a lot if I try to move fast, like this kind of thing, or like this one's pretty smooth. But then you get out of college or finish your graduate degree or whatever, and then you've got some like knowledge, some self-knowledge, some experience, some like muscle memory for when you tackle the bigger things outside.
No, absolutely. And that's a great segue to our next question that I have, is like being able to take all this knowledge that you have, right? How do we recognize someone's humanity, even when we completely disagree with their take?
Yeah.
Right. Like, because it's challenging. It's really, really hard. Really, really challenging. I struggle with that often. But I also know too, if we can't see the humanity in others,
right,
and that's just an impossible endeavor, then what is possible for humanity?
Totally. Yeah. There's this really amazing group called Life After Hate.
Okay.
And what they do is they help members of like violent extremist organizations exit.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of the staff are former hate group members themselves, from a range of groups, but like all of them used to be in sort of violent hate groups. And it's a process, but the way they describe it is it's all about compassion. It's all about like you kind of have to be ready to look through the hateful things that a person is saying, like the logos they're wearing, and like in particular, like see the suffering that's underneath it. Because like the Life After Hate people say, like there is always suffering underneath there. And if you don't see it, it's just because it's being hidden or you haven't like looked in the right way. And that can be really hard to do when someone is saying just like, vile, offensive things that, belittle you or people you love. Like, but if you can do it, if the person is willing to share a little bit, if you're willing to like be a little bit real, I think that's kind of this, I think often, maybe not always, but often the start is just finding there's pain there, there's suffering there. Like every human has pain and suffering. Some people are luckier than others, but like we've all got some element of that.
Yeah. And I know part of like this homework assignment, sorry to cut you off, but an example of what you're speaking to is I know in the homework that incoming first-year students and transfer students did here at the University of Washington, Seattle, they watched a video of a Black man in the Deep South that goes out and has spoken to people in the Klan who are part of the Ku Klux Klan. And it sounds like part of that is to be able to understand their humanity and the why they chose this route.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. That's, he's a musician named Daryl Davis, who sort of made a project of this decades ago.
Okay.
He's a fascinating guy. He's written some about it. There's some interviews. I've learned a ton from listening to him. I got a chance to talk to him once. He's just a fascinating guy.
Yeah.
What's interesting for him, he's a little different from the Life After Hate people.
Okay.
And I think he's a good model, but a different one.
Yeah.
Where for him, like the thing that on his account first drove him to get into like talking to Klan members was curiosity.
Oh, okay.
He's like, I want to know how someone can hate me because of the way I look. Who like doesn't know anything. Like how?
Yeah.
And he went directly for one of like the high-ranking Klan members.
Wow.
Like he said, got a meeting set up that the Klan member didn't even know he was going to be talking to someone who was Black. Like, Davis is like has a level of courage that I do not.
That's amazing.
And he just wanted to know. He's like, just explain to me, like, what's your worldview? Like, how do you think this?
Yeah.
And I think out of that grew a friendship with this former Klan leader, this guy Roger Kelly.
Okay.
And eventually Kelly left the Klan. And it was through his friendship with Davis, which I think did involve compassion and appreciating each other.
Yeah.
But Davis is like, he's very, like it's very much a like respect-driven enterprise. Like, explain to me the reasons for your worldview. And like, not because I'm trying to tear you down. I just want to like see how does your perspective fit together. So it like, I think he's an example of how powerful respect can be.
Absolutely.
Whereas other people lean more, I think, on the compassion side.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. Like as you spoke, like discomfort came up in my body. It's like I have
Yeah.
no desire to engage with anybody who's a part of the, the Ku Klux Klan, and
Yeah.
I don't want to know their why. But also know that, there it's important to be able to know other people's experiences, to be able to find mutual understanding if we want
Yeah.
to be able to effectively dialogue across difference and create the change that the world needs
Right.
so much. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Next question for you is, I already asked you that, I think.
We
Actually,
kind
no,
of
I
went
did
through that
not.
one some, but yeah,
Did we?
go,
Did we?
we can
Okay.
work on it some more. This is a great
Go
one.
through it again? Okay. Yeah, so how does self-respect guide us in deciding, kind of when to speak up, when to step back, and when to just let it go? And as you were speaking too, I just thought back of the Jim Crow South, and when moments, when people, civil rights advocates spoke up and coming together and sitting at lunch counters and having food thrown at them, milkshakes dropped on their head, or dumped on their head, I should say. Right. At what moment in time do people need to be able to have that type of advocacy for something that they deeply don't agree with, in a form of resistance where there's a type of harm involved for the individual who is doing the advocacy?
Yeah.
I think, that's kind of what I think of and what comes to mind for me.
Yeah. It's really hard. I think, like the examples you mentioned, like that's a level of like moral heroism that like
Yeah.
I've never come close to.
Yeah.
And I think it, part of what's inspiring about it is, you can think of it this way. There's like two forms of self-respect. They're both about sort of recognizing your own value.
Yeah.
One is more on the side of making sure your own life goes well. So this is like, insisting on needing a break at work, for example, being like, no, I need a break.
Yeah.
Like that's a form of self-respect because you're defending your own integrity and your own ability to like live your life. Another form of self-respect is more outward. It's like demanding that people recognize your value.
Yes.
And in situations, in scenarios like faced by people in the Jim Crow South and elsewhere, what's awful is then you get, if you try to do the second one of make other people recognize your value, that threatens your ability to lead your life. So you like have to make a choice. Like, do you show the self-respect of keeping yourself safe and trying to defend your own life project, or do you demand that others recognize your value?
Yeah.
And no one should have to make that choice. Like everyone should be able to do both.
Agreed.
So I think the main thing I want to say is that I can't tell anyone how to make a choice when you're forced, but recognizing that they're both valuable and recognizing that if someone is having to make a choice between demand that others treat them as valuable and sort of keep themselves safe and defend their life project, like that person needs our support. Like that's a time when we really, want to offer whatever form of solidarity or compassion or respect that we can to help, because it's just a moral tragedy that should never face that.
No, I agree. And I think too, as you described, especially the back end of your statement, there's also the importance of being able to have that community to be able to lean into that support, and so that we can support one another during those moments where life is challenging and these types of things do happen. Just being able to go to your own personal board, as somebody once told me, this is an issue that's coming up for me. Like, how should I kind of address it and move forward? And this is how I'd like for you to support me in that. And that's kind of what I hope for students too, is to be able to have these friend groups here across campus where they can go and talk with one another during these challenging moments and lean into each other so that our students can advocate for themselves in challenging moments when potentially there's this idea that somebody has more positional power than they do, knowing that in time you already have that power. It's just you get to live into it to recognize that same positional power that you do have. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Right.
That's great for me. Well, this has been great. I very much have enjoyed our convo. Is there anything before we sign off that you'd like to speak to? Can you let our participants know ways in which they can continue to practice dialogue across difference? I know you named that class, some organizations. Is there anything like on campus, in their personal lives and other external ways they can continue to practice this?
Yeah, I think there's a ton, and I think it's really a question of, what's the best fit for you? What sort of group do you sort of see yourself in? So it might be, I strongly encourage all UW students to like take a class in like humanistic stuff. That could be humanities, it could be social sciences, and especially like one where you're going to be pushed a little bit.
Yeah.
Where you're going to encounter people who will push you like respectfully. You structure our classes, so there's limits, but do that. It's a chance to build life skills, to build self-knowledge, to build self-respect. And we have this, UW is huge. We have tons of classes. There's all sorts of things. So
there's a lot.
And then the other thing, I think we've got a bunch of great student organizations. Find something that speaks to an issue, and you don't have to come into an organization like knowing how you're going to contribute. It can be enough to come in and be like, hey, I care about this. How can I plug in? And then bounce around, and you'll mess some stuff up. Inevitably, you'll find you're super awkward in some situations. Maybe you find like, oh wait, there was this one thing I wasn't that bad at. And then sort of grow with that. And then the other thing I would say is, like a lot of students in my class, I invite them to have a respectful discussion with someone they know they disagree with. And this is similar to the homework assignment that a bunch of people did. And I really think that is an incredible amount of power in just inviting someone to hash it out. So like someone says something that rubs you the wrong way, and, don't like get in their face at Thanksgiving or whatever, but being like, I'd actually like to talk about this and like recognize like I don't claim that I'm an expert. I want to understand where you're coming from. Like it if I could change your mind, but I first just want to like let's just like talk for real. I think doing that, especially with family members and even friends, is incredibly powerful. It can deepen your relationships. Like I've had students talk about how, this has been like a breakthrough moment with a parent. And they actually sat down and were like, I actually want to talk about, student loan forgiveness or something. And then, whoa, it actually happens. So I think pushing a little bit in that direction is just like a great step. And, when the opportunity comes up, I hope people go for it.
For sure. That's awesome. That's great advice. And, the university is really a universe for students to be able to tap into all these different experiences and to better understand themselves. So as they continue to grow, they can have this toolbox of tools in their everyday life. But thank you, Colin, and thank you to our Husky community for joining us. If today sparks something for you, keep that momentum going. Follow us on Instagram. It's in the top corner there. Definitely join future Husky Continue the Conversation sessions and bring a little more compassion into your next real world chat. And always remember, Huskies continue the conversation. Thank you, Colin.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.